In this video, we're going to run through 5 UFC prospects that are going to get absolutely fraud checked in 2025. Starting off the list, we got an honorable mention, Raul Rosas. Raul Rosas already kind of got pseudo fraud checked by C-Rod, Christian Rodriguez. In that fight, he got mollywopped. The only person he's beaten since then was on the Noche card, and that guy was an absolute bum who's debuting. He already got cut in his debut, so I don't think there's too much more that you can really fraud check Raul Rosas with, because his cardio isn't good, his striking isn't very good, but he can chin people who absolutely suck. There's a little toss-up there. I think he's going to get completely exposed in one of his next matchups where he's actually tested a little bit more. Yeah, that's for my honorable mention at number 6. Starting off the real list of people I think can get fraud checked, we got the Bullet, the woman abuser, the assaultist, the garbage can himself, Shara Magomedov. I think he's going to get shot, as the Bullet name implies. I don't think he's very good. His grappling has been completely untested, beaten really lackluster talent so far. The only guy with any sort of talent he has fought whooped him until he kind of got a fluky knockout with a double back fist. Very cool move, very interesting, very flashy. But if Armen Petrosyan just, I don't know, kept his hands up, or, expected something a little bit flashier, just stayed fundamental and didn't start dropping his hands halfway through the fight, he would have blown through Shara. Shara was getting tired. He wasn't landing very well. He lost the first round, was starting to lose the second round. I think he actually was starting to be a little bit better on his striking accuracy. It's just Armen Petrosyan really didn't have the cardio to keep up with him and didn't really do much after the first round. So if you get someone with some real talent, some wrestling skills, I think they destroy Shara. I don't think he's that good, and I think he's going to get fraud checked. I think as soon as he goes against anyone in the top 15 with some real talent like Anthony Hernandez, he's going to get walked. The wrestling of Anthony Hernandez would smother him. He'd be tired. He'd be exhausted, and he would get finished. I even think a guy like Michel Pereira would give him a lot of problems. Maybe after the first round, he might get a little bit smothered, but he's not going to be wrestling with that sort of cardio like he did against Anthony Hernandez. Instead, it'll be striking cardio, which Michel Pereira obviously has. So I don't know who Shara fights next. I think he's booked against Michael Venom Page. He'll probably beat Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is kind of a decision merchant at this point in his career. He's got crazy fun striking, but he's not going to do much with it. It's going to be probably a decision win for Shara. Everyone's going to hype him up again, and then he's going to get derailed probably mid through next year. Next on the list of people I hate, think are going to get fraud checked, is Nazim Sadykhov. I don't like Nazim Sadykhov at all. I think he's a dirty cheat. I think all of his wins so far, he's had some sort of cheating directly involved in the finish or decision, especially against Terrence McKinney, where he's getting taken down with a double. Both of his feet are off the ground. He's grabbing the cage. You can hear the commentator mention it. He grabs the cage 4 or 5 separate times. The ref doesn't stop them, just warns him, and it leads straight to a Terrence McKinney finish. And if you have to cheat to beat Terrence McKinney, that's kind of sad, man. I like Terrence McKinney, but I don't think he has a very good gas tank, especially in the second round. And you have to cheat to get your way to a finish after getting outstruck in the first. I don't know, man. It's just, I think anyone with any sort of real cardio and striking with a maybe wrestling defense destroys Sadykhov. I think the hype train is super unwarranted. He's a cheater. He's not very good. I don't see him getting far in any weight division. Next on the list, we got number 3, Movsar Evloev. Movsar Evloev lost against Aljamain Sterling. I think he already got fraud checked, but the judges think otherwise. He's undefeated, 7-0 or 8-0 in the UFC, all decisions, no finishes. He has a very good cardiovascular system. He can last 3 rounds. He can't last 5, and he can't last against real talent with striking ability beyond good grappling. So if you put a guy like Volkanovski in there, he's absolutely stuffing every one of Movsar's takedowns and then chinning him in the third or fourth. Ilia Topuria mauls him in the first and second. Like, there's no standing up and trading with Ilia Topuria if you're Movsar Evloev. You're diving for feet, and who has the best anti-wrestling in all featherweight? Ilia Topuria. I don't think Movsar goes anywhere in the featherweight division. If he smudges Ilia, I'll probably blow my brains out on live TV. I could never. I don't want that to happen. It better not happen. It's not going to happen, okay? I think Movsar Evloev is going to get fraud checked next year. Next with number 2, we've got Bo Nickal. I don't think Bo Nickal has a good striking bone in his body. Very similar to Raul Rosas, where it's kind of fluky, non-proven prospects he can stand and strike with. He couldn't even outstrike Paul Craig. That's kind of sad. I thought Paul Craig won 2 of those rounds. I'm going to be completely honest, because Bo Nickal was so inactive and only throws overhands and hooks. I don't think I saw him throw like a single strike that was straight. It was just all winding overhands and garbage like that. He wouldn't even try to prove he was better than Paul Craig at the ground and try and, out grapple him. Instead, he just stayed on the outside of the pocket and threw hooks the entire time. A few landed. It was such a boring affair. And if you make a boring affair happen with Paul Craig and you can't outstrike him, do you really belong to be in the conversation where you're a towering prospect that's going to be destroying the middleweight division? He said it to beat Khamzat Chimaev. I don't think Khamzat Chimaev is going to be champion, but I think he rolls Bo Nickal. Khamzat Chimaev is actually aggressive with his grappling and mixes it up with his striking, whereas Bo Nickal just likes to use both individually and hasn't really proven himself against anyone with an actual cardiovascular system, good grappling and striking, where I think he struggled against Cody Brundage. I think he almost lost that first round and couldn't take him down, got stuffed a bunch of times. I mean, he's supposed to be the best wrestler in the UFC. And it's so obvious he's not. I don't know where he goes from here. To be completely honest, I think even a guy like Jack Hermanson might fraud check Bo Nickal. I think they're going to want to put Bo Nickal against some really big name. I don't know exactly who you do that with, but you don't do Khamzat Chimaev because he's probably fighting for the belt next. You put him against anyone with real talent anti-grappling, he's probably rocked. I'm a Scouser. I don't get knocked out. Number one, Paddy Pimblett, Paddy the Baddie. I don't see a scenario where Paddy Pimblett actually has success in the lightweight division in the top 15. I think guys like Moicano, Benoit Saint Denis, Gamrot, out-grapple, out-strike, and probably finish Paddy the Baddie. I like his whole gimmick. I think he's fun on the microphone, but he's not very active. He doesn't seem willing to take huge steps up in competition. He's doing it very slow, which I don't disagree with, but I also think it's kind of a sign he doesn't really have the ability to hang with high talent. The only guy he's actually really impressed me over was Bobby Green, and Bobby Green does not have good jiu-jitsu. Just because he submitted Bobby Green does not mean you have good jiu-jitsu. I think generally Paddy the Baddie has great grappling, but I don't think he hangs with guys like Charles Oliveira or Islam Makhachev or anyone in the top 5 or top 10 really. And that's why I think he's going to get fraud checked in 2025. If there's anyone you think I left out of this list, let me know in the comments. 2025 will be a really fun year for UFC and MMA in general. But I think those 6 guys are definitely going to have a loss in the record by the end of 2025.